All right. So am I going? It says excellent. 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 All right. If that's the case, then let's go, right? Okay. Good morning, it is I, your host, Pogo Kiddo, with yet another episode of Red Stone Lapis Lazuli. Haha. Okay, so let's see if I can do the transition without crashing. Maybe once, maybe twice. We'll see. It's going, right? It's going. Yes, hey, happy, good morning. Yeah, it's evening in my Minecraft world, but it's getting sunset. But in our world, it is morning. Happy morning to you. Whenever I hang out down in the villages, my frames per second drop considerably. It's because all these villagers everywhere. Yeah, I have. Yeah, so I suppose I could change my shaders to something less heavy. But I believe you, my audience, are getting all the 50 or the minimum 60 frames per second. Oh yeah. Also, there's a weird bug now that some clouds are old school and stay persistent. So I don't know what's up with that, but whatever. It's all good. So yeah, good morning. Good morning. Yeah, hanging out downtown, very laggy. Yeah, so you can see I've done like nothing. I haven't really been playing Minecraft lately. Stone blocks. Why haven't I been playing Minecraft lately? Because I want to play other games and stuff and whatever. But I haven't. I have not. Yeah. So I haven't made an improvement to the village. So I mean, I need to do it, right? I need something. Something needs doing. So anyways, what it has been is that I've been going to the gym now. now. Now I'm going to the gym. Before I wasn't going to the gym. I think after like 3 weeks or so, I think I can say that I'm going to the gym now. And the thing is that I go to the gym and I like lift until I can't lift anymore. And then I go home and I'm really, really tired. I'm just gonna make this out of stone bricks. The path will be made of stone bricks. Let's go to sleep. So yeah, I on the days that I lift, I can't really do anything. And like afterwards, I mean I can, but it's like I'm exhausted. So that's changed. It's changed my lifestyle a little bit. I can feel the change in my body. I can see the change in my body. It was getting pretty bad there for a bit. So I'm like, wow, I gotta do something. It's looking awful. But really, what really got me into it was listening to my mom. My mom had her birthday recently. She hit 70. Like, woohoo, yay! But like, it's interesting to see to see through her the effects of aging. And she had fallen a few times and messed up her back. And turns out she just like needed a good, like, I don't know. Well, she needed physical therapy because her sedentary, well, mostly sedentary lifestyle, had like weakened her muscles to the point where like it was affecting her ability to walk. So she had to go to physical therapy to like to recondition those muscles. And then I remember listening to her complain about it. Cause, you know, it's hard work when you're not like accustomed to going to the gym and you're not accustomed to the sensations of muscles being worked. Yeah, it can be really like jarring. But like, so it was fun. I haven't been in the gym in like years. I was going pretty regularly, and then I like stopped. And then yeah. But listening to my mom complain about the sensations of sore muscles from going to the gym, I'm like, man, I miss that feeling. I kind of like how that feels when, you know, I mean, I don't like it, I guess. I mean, I wouldn't say I like it, but I know it means that I did a good job. So, encouraging her to go to physical therapy has been great for her. It's been really good. Like, and all the physical therapy is like having a personal trainer. Like work on your stuff, your problems. And my mom's physical therapist is awesome. I mean, look what he's been able to do. He's like, yeah, he's done well. So I'm like, I should do something similar to that. Let's just go back to the gym. And I have been. And oh man, the worst part is going. It's so hard to even get going. That's like the worst. The worst is going. Once I'm there, it's like whatever, but getting there is so hard. But I feel there has been a change, a positive change in at least my appearance, my bodily habitus. So I'm like, okay, I'll keep going because I can literally see a difference. But yeah, so because I've been doing that, I've been playing Minecraft less. That's why nothing's been done. But it's not bad. Right? I'm glad that I'm going to the gym. I'm getting older. Like and that's the deal, dudes. Like that's what I learned by watching my mom, is that like things change as you get older. And you can't just slack off like you did before. Like, yeah, I can't, like, I don't get it. I don't get like a healthy weight for free anymore. I have to like pay attention to what I'm eating and pay attention to like my lifestyle. After COVID hit, I was pretty much sedentary. I mean, I work from home, and yeah, I have like social anxiety. I don't like going out and like I don't necessarily like going out into public. And yeah. So after COVID, yeah, I just like became sedentary man. And so I had to like work back up from that, and oh gosh, it's been rough. It's been rough. Let's see. We can put some of these bricks back. What am I gonna make this house out of? How about oak planks? And cobblestone, sure. Hello, Fizzy HB Contortion. I was just talking about the benefits of going back to the gym. And why I haven't played as much Minecraft. So I haven't done anything in my Minecraft world. So I'm gonna make a house real quick to have some kind of progression. To say, look, I've done something. So let's see, let's make a house right here. Sure, we'll have the ground floor be, the outside be cobblestone, sure. The foundation will be cobblestone. That's a huge house. So you're not making huge houses anymore, man. You want to make a smaller house. Yeah, 5. 5 by 5 is good. You're getting too big there. KK, good luck. Good luck, man. Thank you. I can talk about, I do intend on talking about stuff going on in the United States and the world. That's important, but it's like, you gotta be able to look at something new, right? Right? Am I right? Am I right? So you know that there's some kind of movement happening. Look how quick this happens. When there's a small house, it's easy. Okay. Ba-da-ba. Because, yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on in the United States. Well, and that brings me to, like, one of my points. Like, when I first started doing this show, it was because nobody understood or knew that Donald Trump was as bad as he is. They didn't know. And even now, there's like a third of the United States that still believes in Donald Trump. Even now. So, but back then it was like no one quite understood the depths. To which Donald Trump sinks. They didn't get it. They didn't know. They couldn't comprehend. And so I felt it was like a duty of mine in order to like warn my fellow Americans about how awful is Donald Trump. But at this point, like, now it feels like that part of the thing is done. It's done. Like, people know how bad Donald Trump is already. So, and even after knowing how bad is Donald Trump, you're still a Trump supporter. So at this point, what is the purpose of my show other than to play Minecraft? And like you already know, people at this point already know if Donald Trump is a bad guy. So, and then Fuzzy HB Contortion says Donald Trump is funny because in Britain a Trump can also mean a fart. Yeah, Donald Trump is certainly the wettest gurgliest of farts. Oh yeah, he's the worst kind. He's the kind of fart that you don't know if you've like shat your pants. like that bad of. And it turns out he did shit his pants. He shit America's pants. That guy's Donald Trump is like terrible. Like, so then I'm like, well, what's the point of now that we're at the point where everyone either knows, well, everyone knows, and it's like whether or not they care is not up to me, right? Like like, all I can do is make sure you know. Maybe too big. Okay, that one. Yeah, that's good. It's just a little house. It's not a big house. In fact, I can probably make another one right next to it. But you know what? I'm not supposed to be doing this. I'm supposed to be telling you about stuff. Oh yeah. So yeah, at this point, what do I like? You already know or you don't know? Like, what am I doing at this point? Like, it's clear that Kamala Harris is the only serious choice in this election. If your choices are Donald Trump or Kamala Harris, then yeah, it's pretty simple. Like, Donald Trump is clearly a fascist who clearly intends on overthrowing the constitutional order in order to hold on to power. It's not a mystery. Ta-da! Housing. I need more. I need to make another one. Another house. But I can't do it now, man. I'm supposed to do my show. What do I got? Here, well then let me show you what I'm talking about. So, what can I do? What can I do? Since in the United States, people have already made up their minds, pretty much. They already know. I mean, I can keep repeating, maybe there are undecided voters who don't know. They've tuned out everything, and they don't know. They only pay attention to like right before. So, Fizzy HB Contortion says, it's funny how shaders make buildings so much better. Right? I don't have to put in nearly as much work for the shaders to just make the buildings look nice. Like they're pretty basic, but they look okay. And if I wanted to, I can spend way more time. I can put in. I mean, like I will later on, but at this point, I'm only concentrating on like getting enough housing, because I think we have guys who have no beds. You know, these guys look all good. So I need more jobs. So I should make buildings with no beds. So the reason why, yeah, we have farmers now. So the farmers can just work the fields and make as many babies as they need to fill the beds. Right now we need jobs. We need jobs. Okay, Fuzzy HB Contortion, thanks for hanging out, and yeah, maybe catch the if you care about my thoughts, if you care what I'm thinking about the way things are going, yeah, catch my show later on record. It's gonna be recorded and posted. So, season 9, episode 11. Dude, what do I got here? Anything at all that's interesting? Okay, well, no, yeah. So, I think if I'm going to talk about anything, I should talk about how the United States is inconsistent in its words and in deeds in regards to Israel and Palestine. It's inconsistent. And I've whined and bitched about and like lamented that I could never figure out why the United States was continuing to enact genocide in Gaza when it has its own history of genocide and colonialism. And then I kind of came to the understanding, well, then maybe Israel and the United States are mirrors of each other. They just mirror each other. So, maybe you don't know, and maybe you do, but Israel is a settler colonial project. What that means is people who don't live there move into the region. But not just move into the region, they move in and use violence, state violence, to take over the region from the people that live there. It sounds a lot like what the United States did vis-a-vis the Native Americans. Europeans showed up from Europe and used violence and genocide to take the land from the people that live there. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. What Israel's doing to the Palestinian people is the same thing that the United States did to the Native Americans. It's the same thing. So it's kind of disgusting, you know, to be doing it again. It's like, haven't you figured out anything yet? Like, are your pretty words just bullshit? Is that what it really means? That your words are just bullshit? And you don't actually mean anything you say? Anyways, so the modus operandus of Israeli settler colonialists is to literally move onto Palestinian land, squat in an area, make it fortified, and then pressure your neighbors either directly or with the support of the Israeli military. Pressure your neighbors to feel uncomfortable and unsafe so that they leave, and then you can take their land. That's literally what they do. Now, don't take my word for it. I'm saying it, but you don't have to believe me, right? After all, I'm just an American on the West Coast, the Pacific Northwest. That's all I am. Like, how would I know what's going on way over on the other side of the world? How would I know? How would I know? Well, you don't have to believe me. Just listen to the settlers themselves. They will tell you what everything I just said. Here, you don't believe me, but I'm gonna show you. The settlers themselves will tell you everything I just said. Here we go.
אז איזה מין משוגעים היו הולכים לגור בבית כלא מרצון? כשבאנו לגור באדוריים ידענו שנצטרך להתמודד עם אתגרים. כשאחת מהם ללא ספק היא החומה. ידענו את זה, לא דמיינתי לרגע כמה זה הולך להיות לי קשה. אז כמו שהסברתי בסרטונים קודמים, החומה היא לא בהכרח דבר רע. היא יוצרת מרחב בטוח ללא רכבים שילדים בכל הגילאים יכולים להסתובב חופשי וממש לפרוח מבחינה אישית, משפחתית וכמובן קהילתית. אז לפחות מצד הנוער והילדים לא חסר כלום, להפך.
So, do you see how he made like a walled off compound? He moved in. Here, let's stop back because I was busy like trying to work stuff out. So, and I'm gonna have to kill the music here because if the music is copyrighted, I'm gonna get in trouble. So he said. So he starts with, what kind of crazy people would want to live in a prison? Well, wait a minute. Let's think about this perspective. The Israelis are occupying. The oh, that water looks all tweaked out. Okay. The Israelis are occupying Palestine. They're occupying the West Bank. They're occupying Gaza. They occupy the whole land. They're occupying forces. The Israelis, they're occupying forces. So they set up, basically Gaza is a giant concentration camp. And in a lot of ways, so is the West Bank. Because all throughout the West Bank, there are checkpoints and little enclaves that the Palestinians can't enter into, and there's roads that crisscross the West Bank, but the Palestinian people who live there can't use those roads. Those roads are only for Israelis. So do you see what I mean? So Israel pretty much is annexing the land from the people who live there, the Palestinian people. Let me do a quick search see if I can find Palestine land. It'll show open. No, that one's not there. Okay, yeah. So this thing right here. Let me get rid of this thing. Who would want to live in a prison? Right? That's a good question. Who would want to live in a prison? Hide real quick. Okay. So it used to be that Palestine was this whole area. Then the powers that be, Palestine used to be this whole area. Then the powers that be carved out this area and said this is Palestine. Then when you look at Palestine, the region in 1945, the blue is the Jewish population and the green is the Arab population. That's what their region looked like. So the UN proposed up this idea to do. Right. Then in response to this, all the neighboring countries attacked. And this is what ended up after the war. It looked like this. So this used to be all Palestinian land. Then Palestine was made into this. Then Israel. This was the population distribution. So this was the proposed borders. There was a war, and the Israelis took a bunch of land, basically. Well, right here in this part right here, the Israelis just took a bunch of land. Then the Israelis gave back huge parts of the land that they took. And then now we're at this point where there's checkpoints that crisscross throughout the entire West Bank. So there is no so the prison is what the Palestinians are living in. So when he asked the question, who would want to live in a prison, the Israelis have created prison-like conditions for the native population of Palestine. That's what they've done. Then they've created prison conditions for the native population of Palestine. So they knew what they were getting into. They knew that they were settling on land that wasn't theirs, and that they would face hostilities. So when we came to live in Al-Doraim, I don't know if that's the name of it. I don't know what this region is called, but it's in the West Bank. So it's not Israeli land. But he doesn't care. He doesn't care that it's not Israeli land. He's gonna go and settle on it anyways, right? So he's like, I don't care that this is illegal. We knew it was going to be hard to do, even though it's illegal. We knew we would have to deal with the challenges. One of them, without a doubt, is the wall. We knew it. We didn't imagine for a moment how difficult it would be for me. So I explained in previous videos. Look at the walls that they have to create. Look at yeah, they're basically they built a big defensive bunker to squat on land that isn't theirs in order to raise kids, right? All right. But why is it that they can raise kids, but the Palestinian people can't raise kids? Right? That's the thing he doesn't even consider. He doesn't even consider it. So he feels like, oh, okay, so it's great. I made this, I created this bunker. I have this. I'm squatting on this land that's not mine. I created this bunker to keep my kids safe. But he's like, but I really hate living in a bunker. That's what he says. He really hates living in a bunker. So the Arabs, on the other hand, are walking around freely in the fields and the orchards around. Yeah, because it's their land. It's their land. Of course they're walking freely on their land. It's their land. It's where they live, dude. What are you talking? See, he's got that settler mindset. All he's about is taking what's not his. He took that spot that wasn't his, and he knew it wasn't his, so he built a bunker around it, so he could live there anyways. And then now he sees his neighbors having freedom to walk around, and he's like, I don't like that. So he says, inside our cage. No, dude, it's not a cage, it's a bunker. You don't have to be there, right? That guy doesn't have to be there. It's not a cage, because he doesn't have to be there. He chose to move on to land that's not his, in an area that's not his. He chose that. He can only do that because he has the backing of the Israeli government. So it's not a cage, it's a bunker. He made a bunker. And he sees his neighbors walking around freely outside of their homes, and he's like, I live in this bunker, I hate it, I'm jealous. Right? Right? He's jealous of his neighbors. But hey, we will do everything for our Israel. Do you see what I mean? That guy moves on to Palestinian land to squat on it, builds a bunker, and is jealous of his neighbors. And what's this? He's gonna do everything. What's this? Our Israel. So since the invasion, the genocide in Gaza, he's saying everything has changed. So this is a pretty recent video, man. This isn't old. This is very, very recent. So he's saying that ever since there was the genocide in Gaza, things have been changed completely. What do you mean things have changed completely? From day one of the war, the army has warned the Arabs around us that they are no longer leaving their villages. Wait a minute, what? They're no longer leaving their... The army has warned us, the Arabs around us, that they are no longer leaving their villages to our settlement direction. So, in other words, the people who live there, the natives, don't go near the guy who's squatting, because his country is doing a genocide of their people. Right? And that the fields and all the greenhouses around us are considered for them a closed military zone. So in other words, the Israeli army told the native Palestinians who live there, oh, we're doing this genocide in Gaza. So you see this guy squatting on your land? Yeah, well, all the land around him is now a closed military zone. You guys can't go on it anymore. You Palestinians who live here, you Arabs who live here, you can't go on this land anymore. We're taking it over. That's exactly what he's... It's not me saying it. It's their own people. The settlers are saying it. It's not me, dudes. It's not me. The settlers are saying it. And since then, we have the right. The privilege. They have the privilege. They have the privilege of using the military to force the native people off their land so you could take it. And the obligation? So do you see what that means? In a way, that's his form of manifest destiny. He's saying he is obliged to take over the land of his neighbors. That's what he's saying. That's what he's telling you. That he is obliged to take over the land. Not that he himself wants it, but that he's obliged to. We are obliged to show our presence. So what does he say? And to get... So he's obliged to show your presence. What's that mean? To take your land? Is that what you mean? And to get to know the amazing natural treasures that you guys just stole from the people that live there. That we didn't know even existed a millimeter outside our fence. You guys just stole all the land, dudes. You guys stole the land. You used your military to steal the land under threat of genocide. And suddenly there is a place to walk around. Like suddenly, after our military forced all the native people to leave, suddenly there's land for me to take. You see how that works? It's not me saying it. This is a video of their own people doing it. It's their own people. I'm not lying. They're telling you what they're doing. And we do it, occupying the hills around us with lookout points. So in other words, all he does then, and he spreads, right? He spreads. He goes to all the hills and sets up lookout points. And he occupies all the hills around the people so that he can keep watch on all of them. And it's a well-defended area. So in other words, they're creating a prison for the people that live there. And he asked in the very beginning, who would want to live in a prison? He's making a prison for the people that live there, for the native population. So you can see how the Israelis are exactly mirror images of the Americans. and we put up the flag with pride. Yeah, because you're occupying land. You're stealing more and more land through ethnic cleansing and genocide. They're admitting it. At the same time, around the settlement, a new fence is being built, which makes the official settlement area more than double what it was. In other words, oh geez, now that all these people left, we can just double the size of our land and steal what other people have. Right? Which makes, okay, so what can I tell you? The fields and the nature I was so attracted to just opened up in front of me, and you see what he's doing? He's holding a gun. In other words, they didn't just open up around him. He used violence to steal the land of his neighbors, which he coveted. Oh my gosh! So, this reminds me of Cain and Abel. Yeah, dude. So, it's just a crazy thing to think about. So, it's not me saying that the Israelis are settler colonialists who use violence to steal the land of their neighbors. They will tell you themselves! We are racist because we want to preserve our lives and our sanity. So this is an Israeli woman saying that, admitting that yes, she is racist. The Israelis are racist because they want to preserve themselves. Doesn't matter why. The fact is that they're racist. Do you hear? They're racist. That's why they steal land with violence. And the only way the Israelis can continue to steal land with violence is if the Americans supply the Israelis with the arms to do so and the diplomatic protection. Without the United States, Israel could not commit the genocide. Maybe it could, right? But it would have to give up pretenses about being a democracy. So, like, sure, go ahead, and Israel could continue its genocide by allying with Russia and or China and obtaining weapons from China. Sure, but then you're admitting at that point basically that Israel was never a democracy. It was always an authoritarian regime. So the thing is that the United States itself is a mirror image of what's going on in Israel. The United States already committed genocide in order to take all the land. The reservations are basically prototypes of the Gaza Strip. I mean, Oklahoma was supposed to be a state specifically for Native Americans. And yet who owns it now? Who runs it? A bunch of Republicans. And they run it terribly. So it's a little hypocritical to expect Israel to solve to transcend its origins of violence and genocide. It's a little hypocritical for the United States to demand Israel transcend its original sins if the United States cannot overcome its original sin of slavery and genocide. If the United States can't do it, how can you expect Israel to do it? And that brings us back around to, well, what is the what is the nature of the original sin? Like, how could America begin to address its original sin of slavery and genocide? How could that be? How could that happen? And one way it can happen would be to reject the fascism of Donald Trump and the Republican Party. The fascism and the racism of the Republican Party. Because they represent the Confederacy at this point. The reincarnation of the Confederacy. So yeah, America could do that, but you have to know that the Republicans are planning a civil war when they lose. Because the majority of Americans are not on board with slavery and genocide. The majority of Americans want to transcend our original sin of slavery and genocide and move to a more egalitarian, more perfect union. That's what the majority of Americans want. And that's through democracy and respecting the democratic tradition. Donald Trump and the Republicans don't respect the democratic traditions of the United States. So that's one way to start. But another way would be to stop sending offensive weapons to Israel so Israel can commit genocide. Sure, send all the defensive weapons you want, but why send offensive weapons? I mean, the more you send offensive weapons, the more you become party to the genocide. Because your offensive weapons are being used to kill children and mothers. Why would a nation dedicated to human rights, why would a nation dedicated to human rights send weapons to a regime that is engaged in genocide? I mean, it's no doubt that the regime is engaged in genocide. That's not in doubt. So you can't question that part. Of course it's engaged in genocide. The question then is the regime, or is the United States truly about human rights? I mean, we have to overcome our own, our own problems, our own issues. I mean, that's what the whole MAGA thing is. It's a failure to overcome your issues. Like, that Donald Trump even has a chance is a condemnation of the Americans. Like, how can you guys be so stupid that he even has a chance? Well, you know for sure he's going to try and start a civil war after he loses the election. Because that's the only way he stays out of prison. It's either that or he can die. If he dies, he won't go to prison. He's getting pretty old. So it's not outside the realm of possibility. But in the future, we're gonna have to deal with, with the Israeli-Palestine situation. And you can see from the video, they have no qualms about committing genocide and stealing land. That's exactly what they're about. So does the United States want to be associated with that? Like, it's not me making it up. I'm not, like, making hyperbole. I'm not, like, exaggerating. It's their own words. It's their own video, dude. It's like a recruitment video. Out of stone bricks. I don't want to use tuft. No tuft. I have to get more stone. Okay. Here's the other issue. This image is of Mohammed bin Laden, or bin Salman. And this guy right here is the son of Jamal Khashoggi. Jamal Khashoggi was a Saudi who was a journalist who talked about the brutality of Mohammed bin Salman's regime and the way the terrible way that Mohammed bin Salman treats the Saudi people. And for that, because Saudi Arabia is a dictatorship, Mohammed bin Salman didn't like Jamal Khashoggi telling the truth. So Jamal Khashoggi fled and lived in the United States. And he was a resident of the United States, a legal resident of the United States. And he worked for the Washington Post. Well, he was still a resident of a legal citizen of Saudi Arabia. So, and he had to do like diplomat or like administrative stuff for whatever reason, like for the visa or whatever. So he was in Turkey, but he didn't want to go to Saudi Arabia because he knew if he went to Saudi Arabia, he would get murdered by the prince, by this guy, Mohammed bin Salman. So instead, Jamal Khashoggi went to the embassy in Turkey, in the EU in Turkey. But Jared Kushner, Donald Trump's dude, I don't know if it's Jared Kushner. Somebody gave Jamal Khashoggi information about, not Jamal Khashoggi, someone like with the Trump campaign gave information about the whereabouts of Jamal Khashoggi to Mohammed bin Salman. So Mohammed bin Salman knew that Jamal Khashoggi would not be in the United States during this date, and he would in fact be at the embassy during this date. So Mohammed bin Salman sent a team of assassins to the embassy, and when Jamal Khashoggi went in there, he realized he was in trouble. Into the Turkish embassy, or into the Saudi Arabia embassy in Turkey. When he walked in there, he realized that he was in trouble. So he called his like boss or somebody, and it went to the answering machine, and it just recorded everything that happened. And what happened was the assassins like killed him and started to dismember him with a bone saw. They used a bone saw to hack his body into pieces. And the assassins complained. Well, you heard him screaming because they started dismembering him while he was still alive. And then you could hear, but the phone kept recording even though he was dead. And the assassins were complaining that there was a lot of blood and that was making a huge mess. And yeah, So Mohammed bin Salman got information out of Jared Kushner about the whereabouts of Jamal Khashoggi to send a team of assassins to dismember him while he was still alive. And his only crime was telling the truth about Saudi Arabia. Later on, this is his son. This is the son of Jamal Khashoggi. This is the son of Jamal Khashoggi. He is being forced to meet the guy who ordered the hit to kill his dad. In other words, he was like rubbing it in his kid's face. He's like, don't you dare talk bad about me, or I'll kill you the same way I killed your dad. Do you see how gangster that shit is? Like, why would you want to have any kind of relations with the Saudis? Why would you want that? They're shit people. Well, not the people aren't shit. The government's shit. The government is absolute shit. It doesn't respect human rights. And like, that's the thing. How can I say it doesn't respect human rights when the United States itself doesn't really respect human rights? Well, I can't speak for like my government, the whole thing, right? I can only speak for myself, for my responsibility. And the way I was brought up and what I believe and what I was raised to believe is that we all have human rights. Like, regardless of how fucked up my government's history is. Like, I have the ideals, nevertheless, and I hold those ideals to be true. So yeah, it is unjust. Like to deny people their human rights. It is unjust to deny people their human rights. I mean, and Jamal Khashoggi, perfect example of a guy whose human rights were not respected by his government. So if the government doesn't respect human rights, why are we even talking to this government? Why should we have any diplomatic... Remember, like, the majority of the hijackers from 9/11 were from Saudi Arabia, not from Afghanistan. Like, I don't know. Was that whole period gaslit? Like, I was living through it. The George W. Bush gaslit the American people to believe that Mohammed, or that bin Salman, or Osama bin Laden was in Afghanistan, and then sent the whole army to go invade a fucking country in Afghanistan. And then the dude wasn't even there. Mohammed bin Salman wasn't even there. So the Saudi guy wasn't even in the country that George Bush invaded. And remember, he was Saudi Arabian, not Afghani. Then he got the black American general, Colin Powell, to go on stage, on a world stage, and lie, and tell the whole world that Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction, ready to like destroy everything. He lied in order to get support for the Iraq War. George Bush lied in order to get support for the Iraq War. So they invaded a whole other country for no reason. Two countries. They invaded two countries for no reason. Osama bin Laden wasn't even found by George W. Bush. Osama bin Laden was found by Barack Obama, and he was in Afghanistan or in Pakistan, not Afghanistan. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, yeah, people just like forgot, I guess. But no, there's a lot of Americans that are like, oh yeah, like I got lied to by the Republicans, but I'm gonna vote for them anyways. The Republicans lied to me, but I'll vote for them anyways. So crazy, man. Whatever. Like, it hurts my head, but that's how some people are. Like, I think Americans I think a large portion of Americans have a problem with reading comprehension. And since the internet, a lot of the internet is reading, if you can't comprehend what you read, then you can't get any information out. And like, yeah, reading comprehension is really important. Alright, so what else we got here? Okay. Family values. Whoa, dude. Whoa. Okay. Fuck Donald Trump. He's too old, man. Look at this guy. He's too old. He's too old. He shouldn't be president anymore. He's too old. What else do I got here? John Kelly confirms Trump privately disparaged U.S. service members and veterans. Trump called fallen soldiers suckers and losers during his presidency, according to a 2020 report in The Atlantic. So John Kelly was Donald Trump's chief of staff. Super important guy. And he's a retired Marine general. That means he served well, he was a general for the Marines. Right? I mean, you'd think a general would have like some kind of honor or something attached to it. Anyways, so this retired Marine general said that Donald Trump called fallen soldiers suckers and losers. Donald Trump denies it. Who are you going to believe? A retired Marine general or a convicted felon? Who are you going to believe? And a lot of Americans, well, about 1/3 of Americans will say, oh, I believe the felon and I don't believe the retired Marine general. You can also ask them, well, the Americans say that Russia interfered in the 2016 elections to help Donald Trump get elected. But then the Russians deny this to be true. Who do you believe, the Americans or the Russians? And a lot of Americans will say, oh, I believe the Russians. I don't believe the Americans, I believe the Russians. So it's like, well, what are you going to do? Like, they already don't believe Americans. Why would they believe a retired American Marine general over a convicted felon? Right? If they already don't believe Americans. La 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 la. Yeah, it's gonna be weird. It'll be nice for this election to be over, but like, even when the election's over, it's not really over, because like, you have to expect another January 6th type thing from Donald Trump, unless he's in prison. If he's in prison, it'll take a lot of the pressure off. But if he's not in prison, then you know once he loses the election, he's gonna try to stage another violent insurrection. I mean, why not, right? He got a bunch of idiots to do it the first time. And like, he's not the one who goes to prison, they do. So and they've already shown that they do it again. Right? Like, a lot of them are saying that, like, a lot of them already served their sentences and got out, and they're still repeating the same bullshit. So they didn't learn their lesson. You didn't learn your lesson. They're just gonna do it again. Why wouldn't they? Okay, what else we got? Elon Musk says, being a free speech advocate these days is increasingly feeling like a Kobayashi Maru problem. And then they say, is this you? Under Elon Musk, Twitter has approved 83% of censorship requests by authoritarian governments. So Elon Musk talks like he's a big free speech advocate, but that's bullshit. He's an authoritarian. Elon Musk is an authoritarian. He doesn't care at all about human rights. All he cares about is his own power. So to preserve his own power, if he needs to bow to authoritarian governments, he will. But he cries free speech if you call him on his Nazi bullshit, because he basically lets Nazis freely post on the website he bought. So, yeah. What else do I got? So Tusk81 on Threads said, there's nothing subtle about the X account that Trump promoted. It is blatantly white nationalist and anti-Semitic, including writing numerous posts that deny the Holocaust and portray Adolf Hitler as a hero. Wild that this isn't all over the major newspapers. That's a choice. So it links to that story. And they removed it. Facebook removed it. So Facebook doesn't want people calling out other Nazis. They want the Nazis to move unhindered. See, social media companies are not your friend. Everyone should switch to Mastodon. The Fediverse. Because you can't get banned off the whole network. You might get banned off of a server, but they can't ban you completely. Now I'm not saying that to like promote Nazi websites, but because Nazi websites don't need something like that. They have X and Parler, well, maybe Parler, but like Telegram and stuff like that. Yeah, it doesn't matter anymore. I'm tired. It does matter, I know, and I'm tired. I'm tired of doing this, but I don't know if anyone even listens. Nasai. Well, what else do I got here? I have Tim Waltz being cheered at the Firemen's Union, and I have J.D. Vance being booed at the Firemen's Union. But it's funny because the bosses prefer J.D. Vance. Now here, you may say, "Oh, you're just making that shit up." No, the bosses really want J.D. Vance. Listen to when Tim Waltz comes out. Do I have the whole thing? No. Tim Waltz, when he comes out, listen to what the bosses say.
Please welcome Minnesota Governor and Democratic candidate for Vice President Tim Walz to our IAFF family.
All right, pretty decent. You know, it's a decent introduction. Neutral. It's neutral.
Governor Walz.
It's a neutral introduction by the bosses. He comes in, they stand up and clap. Oh, this song might wreck it.
Well, good morning. I know you got a lot of important business to get through this week, but I do want to say how grateful I am and what a privilege it is to stand in front of this group. Thank you, President Kelly. Thank you for every single day advocating for the 350,000 heroes that you know that you represent with passion. And to General Secretary Treasurer Lima, thank you. This is an incredible leadership team. I got to use a point of personal privilege and a shout out to your 5th District VP from Bethel, Minnesota resident, Tom Thornburg. Tom, it's great to always see you.
Okay, now listen when they have J.D. Vance come up.
And please join me in giving a warm welcome to the next Vice President of the United States of America.
The next Vice President of the United States of America? What? What? You didn't say that for Tim, for Walz. Why?
And please join me in giving a warm welcome to the next Vice President of the United States of America, Senator J.D. Vance.
Yes. My shit's gonna get flagged by copyright for the songs they're playing. Listen how quiet it is. No one's clapping. Nobody cares.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Well, Simplify, guys. We got some. It sounds like we got some fans and some haters. That's okay. Listen to what I have to say here, and I'll make my pitch. I want to first say thank you to Representative.
He got booed.
For the great
he got booed.
Kind of you. Thank you for your service.
He got booed going up there, and you hear the boss is like, oh, like not the boss, but like the old guy is like, oh yeah, he's the next vice president. Man, that's bullshit. You know which way he's voting. You know who he's voting for, and he's like, what the hell, dude? I don't know. What's this? By Arthur Kotler. In this war, we are fighting against a total lie in the name of a half-truth. This is a more modest formulation than those currently used, but if we tentatively accept it, the present will probably appear less confusing and the future less depressing. We call Nazism's new order a total lie because it denies the specific ethos of our species. Because by proclaiming that might is right, it reduces civil law to jungle law. And by proclaiming that race is all, reduces sociology to zoology. With such a philosophy, there can be no compromise. It must be unconditionally surrender. It must unconditionally surrender. Yeah. Ooh, wrong one. We, on the other hand, live in a climate of half-truths. We fight against radicalism and yet racialism, and yet racial discrimination is far from abolished in the Anglo-Saxon countries. We fight for democracy, and yet our own mightiest ally is a dictatorship, where at least 2 of the 4 freedoms are not operating. But such is the sticky, all-pervading influence of our climate, that even to mention these facts, undeniable though they are, has the effect of provocation. So why rub it in? Some will probably say. This is a battlefield, not a public confessional. The answer to this is that on both sides of the Atlantic, people are getting more restive the more victory approaches. There's a strange mood of uneasiness everywhere. The hangover seems to precede the celebration. So yeah, I think Ukraine will be victorious against Russia. Russia is pushing as hard as it can now, because if Donald Trump loses the election, which he will, and fails to stage a coup, then I think Harris is gonna like unleash Ukraine. Ukraine doesn't have the manpower, the raw numbers of people that Russia has. It needs to use superior weaponry, essentially. And they're prohibited from doing so by their allies. I don't think Harris will prohibit as much as Biden has. But yeah, that's the nature of trying to advocate for democracy while living in a country that has denied it to so many. Well, we're fighting our own internal war about it. Like, so which way are we gonna go, American? Are you gonna turn your back on the American experiment, or are you gonna push it forward? The fate of the world rests in your hands. Like, no joke. Alright, I think that'll do it for me. Until next time, peace. Pogo Kiddo out. Stop.